Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to today's video where I will be explaining all about how you can lose fat as a diabetic. The first thing I want to say is that there are so many opinions and so many different pieces of advice that people give when it comes to not only losing fat in general, but losing fat as a diabetic, different diets you should follow. But the one thing that actually matters, the one thing that is going to allow you to lose fat is a calorie deficit. Avoid fad diets, anything that eliminates food from your diet, anything that is extreme. These don't work in the long run, and some of them don't even work in the short run. What you need is a calorie deficit, which means consuming fewer calories than you use in a day. You can do this either intuitively by reducing the amount of highly fatty and highly calorific foods from your diet, you know, maybe cook with less oil, take out a few biscuits from your normal diets, or you can do it by tracking macros and doing it in a more calculated approach. If you're not sure what tracking macros is and you want to know the difference between this and eating intuitively, then check out, I think it is 2 videos ago, where I go all in on what tracking macros is and the pros and cons of this. Now obviously, in saying that, I'm not saying you should deny yourself anything you see as treats, but by limiting these kinds of foods and focusing in on your calorie needs, that is how you are ultimately going to lose fat. Having said that, and even though the way that we lose fat as diabetics is the same as how anyone else in the population loses fat, which is through a calorie deficit, as a type 1 diabetic it is a bit harder. As a diabetic, there are lots of things that go into managing our diabetes and which can affect the rate at which we lose fat. So for example, if your blood sugars aren't as controlled as they could be, you could end up having lots of hypos, and therefore you need to constantly eat throughout the day and you end up going over your calorie needs. You know, if you eat all of your calories for the day and then you have a hypo in the evening, you're gonna just have to eat, and then you won't be in a calorie deficit for that day. So the main thing you need to focus on as a diabetic trying to lose fat, as well as a calorie deficit, is your blood sugar management. You will get nowhere if your blood sugars are not controlled well enough. Having said that, there are a couple of ways you can manage hypos, of course, and still lose fat. I have hypos, everyone has hypos, but you can still make progress towards your fat loss goal. So for example, what I like to do is I save 100 or 200 calories each day for hypo treatments, and then if I get to the end of the day and I haven't had a hypo, I've got those 100 to 200 calories left over, and I can just have an evening snack. Obviously there's still room for things to go wrong there, because what if you go low after your evening snack? Well, you're just going to have to eat again. But as a general rule, that tends to work quite well and means that I have my diabetes covered and my calorie deficit covered. Another way to deal with hypos while maintaining a calorie deficit and losing fat is to make sure that you have readily available low calorie hypo snacks. You can get hypo snacks that are easily 100 calories or maybe even slightly less, depending on what you need for a hypo. Personally, I only need 10 grams of carbs to treat my hypo, and I can get a cereal bar with 10 grams of carbs that is only 73 calories, and it's not really going to make a huge difference to my daily calories at all, and it means that I am covered and I know I have them in my house all the time, so I can easily use that to fix a hypo and stay on track. As I said, a calorie deficit is the main and really the only thing that is going to play a role in losing fat, and to boost this, what you need to be doing is increasing your lean body mass or your muscle mass. Our muscle mass is more active than our fat tissue, which means it burns through more calories at rest and during exercise than our fat tissue does. So the more muscle mass we have, the more calories we burn without actually having to do anything. To get muscle mass, you need to do resistance training, something like weights, or obviously that's a bit difficult while the gyms are shut. You can use resistance bands at home, bodyweight workouts, just to tide you over until you can really hit those weights. Weights are the most beneficial and fast way to build muscle mass, although if weights really aren't your thing, there are other ways you can do this. So don't feel like you have to suddenly start weight training if you really dislike it. You know, there is swimming is a form of resistance training because you're using the water resistance. There are body weight and plyometric workouts you can do, but some form of resistance training is essential if you want to be building muscle mass, which is hugely beneficial if you want to hit a calorie deficit and therefore lose fat. Again, with this, blood sugar management is absolutely vital. high blood sugars actually prevent the muscle building process, and so if you are having constant high blood sugars, even if you're weight training, you're not going to make gains or get results as fast as you'd like to, or as fast as a non-diabetic counterpart. So as well as a calorie deficit and some resistance training, blood sugar management is your top priority. Of course though, yes, we do need a calorie deficit, but please do not make this deficit too big. Don't reduce your calories by too much, because number one, this will slow your metabolism down because your body will adapt to consuming less calories, and therefore will try to conserve any energy it has by burning less calories throughout the day. So you'll actually end up not being in a deficit, and your body will adapt to eating less food, which is not what anyone wants. If the deficit is too small, you also really risk not being able to stick to your current program, because you'll be hungry, you'll be tired, and I don't know about you, but even if I'm trying to lose fat and change my body composition, I want to feel happy, I want to feel alive, I want to have energy for the day, I want to go and smash through my work, I want to have a really good training session, and none of that is going to be possible if you've not got any energy because you haven't eaten enough calories. So please don't make the deficit too small. You can work out how many calories you need by finding an online macro tracker. If you have a Fitbit, these are really good for telling your daily calorie needs. There are loads of calculations you can find online. Just make sure you find something from a reputable source, but again, just find roughly how many calories you need. Knock off 10%-ish, but if this really doesn't feel like enough food for you, then obviously increase the amount of calories a bit more. If you feel like you're not really making any progress, you may need to slightly drop the calories, but just make sure you're staying in a healthy range. Increasing the deficit can also be done by adding activity to your day. So obviously if you already train, that's quite a lot of activity. I'm not saying you should be, you know, training twice a day just to burn as many calories as possible, because that again is just another road to injury, to tiredness, to fatigue, and a way that you don't want to be feeling. But I would suggest doing some kind of light activity as often as you can throughout the day, whether that's going for a walk, doing some yoga, playing on the Wii, like Just Dance or Wii Sport or something like that. Anything that's just a bit of movement that's going to keep your body ticking over and keep your mind healthy, and just make sure that we are staying as generally active as possible. If you want a couple of ideas of things to do to keep yourself active throughout the day, then check out any of my diabetes vlogs or day in the life of a type 1 diabetic, because I am constantly using activity to not only, you know, maintain a fat loss state, but also to really help manage my blood sugars. I find that if I'm still all day, my blood sugars tend to be really high and stubbornly high, but by doing a bit of activity, it really helps to keep them nice and steady and avoid too many spikes throughout the day. As well, another thing that helps not only with fat loss but also with managing your diabetes is hydration. A lot of the times we can feel hungry when really we're actually thirsty. I'm not saying to replace food with drink. Please do not do this. We definitely need to eat and consume calories in food throughout the day. But if you are dehydrated, you often feel hungry, and if you end up eating, you're not actually ever gonna feel full until you drink, because your body's telling you that you need a drink. So if you're hungrier earlier than you think you would be, you know, if it's only been half an hour or an hour since your last meal, have a big glass of water, wait a few minutes. If you're still hungry, then yes, you probably do need food, and again, please do not replace food with liquid, but make sure you're hydrated so you're not just consuming calories that you don't need, and also to keep your blood sugars nice and stable. Hydration is key to, again, avoiding high blood sugars. Again, with hunger, one thing that is really important is that you are eating lots and lots of vegetables at every meal. If you're hungry, vegetables are a great way to fill up your stomach while not adding too many extra calories to your meal. Again, I'm not saying we should all just be eating huge bowls of salad or roasted vegetables and that's it. No, we need a huge variety of vitamins, minerals, proteins, carbs, fats, everything. But if you're really hungry and you're eating enough calories, adding more veggies can be a really good way of getting rid of that hunger and still feeling full. Also, protein really helps with this. Protein fills us up for longer, so try to add protein into every meal and snack you have, and that will keep you feeling fuller for longer and therefore happier for longer. While doing this, if you are in a stage of fat loss, if you are changing anything about your activity or your daily calories, your daily eating habits, please, please, please monitor your blood sugars really carefully. I find that the slightest change in my eating habits really affects my blood sugars. I can suddenly start going really high or really low depending on whether I've suddenly increased or decreased the calories that I'm eating a day or how much activity I'm doing. So I make sure to monitor my blood sugar as often as I can throughout the day, especially through these periods of transition until I get to like a new normal. So please just be careful when altering anything about your exercise and food intake. Your diabetes has to be the priority, and please make sure you are monitoring it very carefully. Finally, one thing I really wanted to say is please don't be hard on yourself. As much as we can follow the rules and we can try our hardest, some days won't go to plan. Hypose will get in the way, or we'll end up feeling really hungry randomly one day and we eat for that, and that is absolutely fine. You know, right now a lot of us don't really have a life in quarantine, but normally we have a life to live, and changing your body composition and losing body fat should not come at the price of living your life. There are celebrations to be had, delicious meals to be had. Please don't deprive yourself of this. Remember that consistency is way more important than intensity. So if consistently throughout the week and throughout the month you are eating in a calorie deficit, you're eating all the macronutrients that you need, you're eating all of the micronutrients that you need, so your vitamins and your minerals, you're keeping yourself hydrated, you're keeping active, then having a day in bed or having a big night out and then a hungover day, or going to celebrate someone's birthday or anything, having a bad day and having loads of hypos isn't going to really have an effect at all. It's like everyone says, one salad isn't going to make you thin, just like one big day out isn't going to make you fat. Life is about moderation. Again, another cheesy phrase, everything in moderation. I still eat loads of foods that I enjoy every single day, and it's just about finding a balance in life where you are working towards your goals but you are feeling mentally and physically really healthy and happy. I hope this video has been really useful for you guys. Please let me know as ever in the comments below any videos that you'd like to see from me, and I will definitely make sure to make them for you. Again, if you would like any daily support, advice, tips, and just someone that shares your struggles with diabetes, then head over to my Instagram at BeckyFitnessT1D, and I post daily on there and add to my stories, and I would really love to see as many new faces as possible. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and you have a great day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!